Doing all right. How about
Staying
you?
up. Great, great, great. Thank you so much. Back. Thank you. Good. Yes, thank you. Thank you. She knows where the cold water is in this building. We always find the hot water.
Yeah. We just forgot to bring it in, left it on the back dock.
Oh, okay. There you go. So you could have a nice, you could just sit out here on the balcony.
Right. Yep. We'll call the Finance Resource Development Committee meeting to order. Guess we do a roll call.
Yes, Lee Perlman,
Present.
Kevin Lane,
Here.
Ashley Lockhart, you will not be here, Marcus Stone,
Here.
Jay Dickens. Here, all right, you have a forum.
Okay. First order of business is to look at minutes from last meeting. In the package. I'll need a second to look over them or entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next thing, we've got a nice package here Joanne's put together. I don't know if you want to. I don't want to just repeat what you've done such a good job on. If y'all want to take a minute and kind of walk us through this, I think that would be. That'd be
Sure, no
great.
problem.
Yeah.
So you'll see the full detailed budget, and it'll show for each individual account, what the expenses are. The top kind of sums up our revenues. So you'll see the general funds that are our standard appropriation, then the base budget adjustments.
All right, that was me. Check it out.
Okay. And then the maintenance reserve is what we anticipate based off of projects that we plan for the year and our best guess estimate. And you'll see that some of that we've already received from projects that's been started. And then the last few lines there are related to non-general funds, for the balance that are brought forward year-to-date revenues. And then it goes into our expenditures for non-general funds or general fund first and then non-general funds. So the first page is just kind of the summary with the remainder being the expanded views.
And the big picture is of total budget. We've only spent.
About 30%.
About 30%.
At a
Yeah.
6 month point, we're only about 30% expenditure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in just kind of big picture, if we looked at prior years through the end of November, would it be a similar or? I know my sense is y'all kind of tapped the brakes and are.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things. I'll let them speak to it more in detail, but there are a couple of things that we have intentionally held off on, just to kind of seeing what the future looks like. There's a couple of other things in the past. So we have an annual GWO audit. And in the past, that has generally fallen around the November, December timeline. This rotation of it, it'll fall more to March. So that falls in a different quarter. And that's range. This year's not too bad. It's about a $3,700 expenditure for that annual review. Just depending on what year and the types of programs we have in the past, it can run up to as much as 10,000. So I know that's not enough to really move the needle on here. But there's just small things like that we've either intentionally pushed to the next quarter or two, or it's just because of the rotation we're on. They're not quite as large of an expenditure as they have been in the past.
Okay.
But if there's any specifics or any like big drops in the bucket that may show some differentiation between last year, this time and this year, I'll let you speak to it.
Not really, but from one year to the next, it's gonna fluctuate, like where you're at during the year, just based off of what projects you have. Like in years in the past, when we resurfaced a parking lot, that's a pretty hefty chunk at one time. So if it falls beginning of the year, you might be at 30% of your budget 2 months in. So it just kind of depends on when bigger ticket projects are staged during the year. As of right now, we're on pace for what we projected for the year. And we're working on some of the facility projects that we planned for third and fourth quarter, getting quotes and going through the procurement process of that.
In your projections, are you projecting anything to be unextended at 6:30?
As of right now, no. That's something we'll look at a little bit more probably in our next meeting when we're down to, third quarter,
Last couple months.
kind of have a better idea of, what is feasible to complete within the next 90 days. As of right now, you'll see that like our payroll expenses is a little under budget. That's more of just a timing situation. November happened to only have one payroll. December will have three. So you'll see some up and down in that, but by the end of the year, that should even out as well.
Okay. So I think, does everybody have comments?
Yes.
Okay, if you flip to the comments page in your package, probably the, yeah,
Yes.
You want the narrative or the bullet?
the narrative. Yeah,
Okay.
you just kind of look at says key highlights.
Okay.
This is, John does such a nice job just kind of bulleting these things out for us. Overall spending just said 31%, personnel budget, kind of the big categories. I don't, just as you just addressed that, contractual services and supplies. And you're kind of under budget. That's what I read into those comments.
Some of that we had budgeted for facility maintenance projects like HVAC repair, the lighting replacements, things of that. It's gonna be a big ticket purchase at one time. But it still has to be done as a contract, so that's why it falls in that category.
Okay.
So supplies, you're way under right now. Do we anticipate that's gonna be used more of, or?
Some of that has already started with some of the requests for educational supplies that are going into upcoming programs, things of that nature. So we do anticipate that will pick up quite a bit in the next couple quarters.
Two of the programs, 40,000 total, and they occur January to.
Mhm.
Just want to kind of keep walking down travel.
Yeah, so the travel, we're at about only 26% in that. However, that will go up a little bit as well because some of the travel that is budgeted in there are fixed date travels. So for example, like the procurement forum happens in November, it's always scheduled then. This is expenses through the end of November, but some of those reimbursements may not necessarily be in here because the employee may have turned it in late, something of that nature. But we anticipate, some of that travel, will pick up in the next quarter. We'll have staff traveling for the next board meeting and things like that as well. The utility services, only have a slight variance as of right now. It's mostly due to rate increases, more than consumption increase. But we are looking at, more efficient options, since we're doing the lighting replacements and things of that nature to try to see what we can do to be more efficient going forward.
And I'll jump in if you don't mind and add on to that. One of the things that when we transitioned from a contracted service to in-house personnel, when we hired our facilities and maintenance director, one of the things he was tasked with was within the first year of his employment was to develop an energy savings plan. So he has submitted that and Christine and I are currently reviewing that. And we look to implement that within this next quarter. So I'm not sure how much you'll see as far as dollars and cents right away, but if the plan is done accordingly, you should see that long-term starts to take effect on some of the finances.
I assume city power. City.
Yes, sir.
Clean your rates.
Well, for the phone services, they started applying an extra 21% tax. We've discussed with that, that's supposed to be removed from the bill. They have not made adjustments as of yet.
Just to live here.
Yeah. It's a new tax that they've added to the bill that we weren't previously paying. And then the utility rates, there was a slight increase on that as well, with the amount of our consumption. Even a small increase per kilowatt can make a pretty decent difference on a month-to-month basis.
So the city, we talked about this at another meeting, we were on, but the city has multiple electric rates. Depending on your industry and what your business is, basically. And so that may be something that you should explore a little bit
Okay.
and make sure that they've got you on what you would consider the best rate possible. I don't know what the relationship condition is with those folks, but it's at least worth asking the question. Depending on the economic benefit to the city from NCI being here, to some degree, and I would imagine you're probably one of their larger consumers anyway, and so never hurts to ask. They set their own rates.
So they probably may be looking at him as a manufacturer because of the pull.
They don't necessarily grade them that way or distribute or assign them that way. They assign them based on, I guess, when Kevin looks at this new person signing up, what's their industry, they kind of label them, and then that's where they get stuck in that category. So it may not necessarily be the most appropriate category. And if it's never been checked or questioned, then it's in that category. And, they may not have ever looked at it again. They got people signing up every day, right? So.
They want you to look at it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that jaundiced.
But I mean, with the volume of work they have. they might not.
Rob Fincher is certainly dialed down the temperature in the last 6
Yeah.
months, and he would be a good person to have that conversation openly with. And I mean, his mantra pretty much sounds to me like he's worried about what's going to happen in the future and can't do much about what happened in the past right now, other than deal with whatever happens legally this year. But Rob's good egg, and he knows where all the bodies are buried in city land. I do worth your making a call.
I absolutely will. Yes, sir.
I mean,
Thank
he's
you for
good-
bringing that to my
He's a good
attention.
dude anyway. I mean, he really is.
They could just as easily say, well, actually, you should be in a higher category.
They could.
Right, but,
Tell them that.
my experience has been if you call and say, hey, are we sure that we're segmented right or whatever, then there may benefit or it may.
I don't think it hurts.
No, absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. We'll absolutely follow up on that.
If you get a rate increase, he'll pay for
It's
it.
my fault.
Jay and I'll- Jay and I'll
take
Yeah,
up
we'll
the-
take, we'll take up.
Take up the offer or
If it goes up, tell him Joe asked.
something. Interesting. You could ask for a no harm, no foul. Hey, just because I'm bringing it to your attention,
Yeah, hypothetically, yeah. Anything else on non-general fund?
For general fund, that pretty much wraps it up. Non-general fund just kind of sums up, what our starting balance, carryover was. Our year-to-date revenues are slightly above what we projected. But in the original projection of revenues for the next year, we didn't have all of the partners that we have now. Some of them did start after the budget was approved, so we expected that to be a little over. But in general and non-general funds, both seem to be on target, still kind of following the conservative spending with strategically planned procurements
Right.
later on, so very good shape.
And the one thing that I kind of try to remember to bring this up every time, just so we don't lose sight on it. The one thing that's not reflected are the legal fees
Correct.
Yes.
that are still kind of hanging out there.
Yes, sir.
And those remind us how much.
I believe some of that might be discussed in closed session, but I believe we can discuss the amount. Correct? Okay.
Yeah, we can disclose it.
Sure. So we're looking at, low nineties, 93. Yes, sir. So we've made a couple of, moves on our side as far as tracking down to ensure that we have not overlooked anything, that we're in receipt of all the proper documentation, and that we have taken all the moves accordingly over the last year. Our IT team has also conducted a review to ensure that nothing has slipped through. Maybe we missed an email or something somewhere. So all that we presented, we shared with the board at the board meeting, and then I think the actual mechanics of paying will probably be discussed more in closed session. But just for complete transparency, I just have not received the authorization from the board. So I, in the executive director role, have not ever had a precedent of signing off on a $90,000 expenditure for a legal fee to the OAG's office. It has always been that the board approves such an expenditure because of the category, and then we would act on it. So I believe it would have to come back before the board for approval, which I believe is scheduled for discussion on Thursday. But we do have a sufficient amount of funds earmarked in non-general to pay it. So it's not like we can't pay it. We have, ever since we've been made aware of it, we have intentionally went ahead and marked it, said, don't touch it. That money is for that OAG bill.
Can I ask a question about
Yes,
the 93 or thereabouts that we're gonna potentially approve to the OAG? If you were to bucket where that legal expense was, for what reason? How?
Say that one more time. I'm
It's for the
sorry.
mediation
For the mediation
with the former foundation.
Yes.
foundation. It's all for the form.
100%.
Yes, sir.
This year, that's what.
We've only been to one meeting, so.
Yes.
Yeah, and I will be, I think Eric's gonna start the presentation in closed session, and then I'll be providing all detailed information, so you have the full picture of what occurred in
Back to 2023, is that far back? Did that?
20,
Wow.
yes.
And the meter stopped running.
That's part of the
Which fiscal
discrepancy on
year?
this, to be very honest with you. Again, I'm hesitant to kind of tiptoe.
Don't,
Part of the
don't step into
discrepancy is
anything.
when did the meter start and stop?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, this bill covers the 2024, let's say July to December 2024, according to what's on the paper. And we,
20, it goes through. What? This bill
this invoice
goes
that we
through
received,
July of
24.
2024. Yes,
starts for services rendered starting July
yes.
24 up until
Right after that last meeting,
September, maybe?
probably.
So
I'll
I'm,
just,
I'm paraphrasing it kind of by quarter, but that's the general timeline, yes. sir.
So is the invoice, we're obviously the invoicee. Who is the invoicer?
The name, again, the invoice that
And
we have
and if it's
received.
gonna, if it's gonna be a problem, then we can wait, but
let's just, I would say, let's talk all the details in closed session at
Sounds
the board
good.
meeting,
Mhm.
just to make sure that we don't have an attorney here.
Yeah.
Make sure we're in line.
Yeah. And one last question again. if-
Who's the bill from? I mean, that's a,
McGuire Woods.
okay,
Yes, we can
Yes,
discuss
that-
that, yes.
Yeah,
Richard Hall's firm too.
Has there been any
Just mentioned.
billings? So this was all in calendar 24.
Mhm.
As we
Yeah.
understand. Any
24,
additional,
25. Fiscal year 24, 25 is the. when the-
Yeah.
Mhm.
any billings related to the period that we're in now? Okay, cool.
Just that
No,
one.
so
It's not that long ago.
So July,
Yeah,
July
yeah.
24 to September 25.
24.
24.
It was only for about a 3 to 4 month period.
It's not the most current.
No, it's not.
and we didn't have funds accrued for that during the period of which it was
No, sir.
encumbered.
No, sir.
A quarter?
Sir?
Yes, sir.
You're a fine firm.
I'm sure, right.
That's the only thing that's not,
Yes,
Sorry to have brought it up.
yeah.
yes.
Oh, no, I'm
I
wrong.
just need this, so. We, in the past, we have discussed it in this committee,
Yep.
just due to some of the evolving
I get it, yeah.
pieces of it. I
Yeah,
think
really,
we
I
said
just
maybe
wanted-
put it in the big board meeting.
I just wanted the dollar amount. That
Yes,
was
sir,
really
understood.
all I was.
Yes, understood. 93, and we've got it in this, in the savings account, so to speak. It is.
Sweet.
Yes,
That's what I wanted to make sure we had reflected. Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay. Um, either one of you want to say anything else about, you got some comments in the strategic messaging, which I think is good stuff.
I'll just speak from just big picture things. Again, just being intentional about, there's always uncertainty about the future at some point. So we didn't really want to go and make a lot, mention like the lighting upgrades and things like that. That can be a multi-year project. So there were some things that we have held off on intentionally. There's also some personnel positions that we have kind of held off on a little bit that we would need to look to fill in the spring. But again, some of that was just, it's difficult to post for a manager level type position and bring someone in with uncertainty in the future. So you don't want to ask somebody to leave a career to come to that. So we've pressed pause on some of those in the past quarter. But I would look for some of those expenditures to probably show up starting in the next quarter or two. Definitely within this fiscal year. Yes, sir.
Would note that the one item that we had asked for previously from the former foundation, from funds that are held for a specific reason, and they, anyway, we are now making the determination that we need to move forward with that project.
We've identified the need for more controlled access on the front floor.
Turn my ringer off.
On the lower floor. So we are looking to evaluate that to see, is it as simple as key card access? Is it perhaps moving the front desk to a different arrangement? It's just not designed very well to create a controlled access point. And that's becoming more and more necessary as we have different partners in the building.
Sure.
Gen Edge has some pretty strict requirements on some of their federal operations as far as a manned controlled access point. And we've met that, but we'd like to make sure that we are not just meeting it, we're exceeding it. And then as we look to grow some of our K-12 operations, we want to make sure we have more controlled access to this building. So
hopefully it won't be as much as we had anticipated previously because we were trying to reconstruct it. But we'll be bring a proposal to Joe and would possibly be using the non-general funds to make this happen.
What we plan to do is to bring in our partners in public safety and law enforcement. We've already brought them in for an initial walkthrough of the entirety of the facility. But we're going to ask them to come back and spend additional time in that lobby with us and to give us their insight on how they would design it for optimal safety and optimal access control. Because we can't just sit down and go, yeah, I think we put a door here and a gate there kind of thing. So we figured we've got the experts that are in our building regularly. Let's lean on them to make sure we're doing it right. Yes, sir. So that would be one that we would look to move forward on. The reality is if we start it today, state government, time of year that we're in, it's going to be several months before we're at a point where I can put some dollar values in front of someone and say, hey, we're ready to start swinging hammers.
Okay.
Good thing I don't think there'll be any cameras.
Figure of speech.
Anybody have any questions on kind of what's been spent, what's been recognized? So, and then if you would, just to refresh our memories on kind of where we are from a funding cycle, funding standpoint.
Yes, sir.
We're funded through what period of time?
June 30.
Yes, yes, sir. We're currently funded through June 30th. The Governor Youngkin's proposed budget has us funded all the way until the following June 30th, with some criteria and therefore additional funding the second year. Yes.
So that takes us to
June 30, 27. Yes.
And are we getting any current discussions, just any with the new administration, any?
Most of our
I
conversations.
don't know how that actually works, so it's more curiosity that.
Most of our conversations with the new administration have mostly been focused around the previous topic we discussed as far as the, make sure it's not lost in the shuffle, the invoice in question. But there are some things that, we always have the opportunity to ask for additional funding. So we look to ask for additional funding if we have the opportunity. Yes, sir.
Let me jump in. One of the actions that Chairman Jones made in the end of the November meeting was to submit a budget request to increase our general fund appropriation. So the Senator Srinivasan and Delegate Destiny Luvier Bowling are working on that front based on Eric's direction during the November board meeting.
Is there no formal request? Nothing's out, right?
No, the deadline isn't until Friday at 5 p.m. All budget amendments are due for the House and Senate, and then it's usually about a week for the appropriations and finance staff to get the drafts back to the legislators. And then I'd say 3 to 4 days, week after that, it's posted online. So we still got about a couple days till the deadline, couple more weeks till it's, out there in the public.
And the new incoming governor has an opportunity to amend the governor's budget. What do you call it?
I think there's been times where previous incoming governors have had like some version of their own budget. I haven't seen anything come out of this administration, so the next like formal step is each chamber, the House and the Senate, develop their own budgets. Of course, given that all of the General Assembly and the executive branch are now in alignment, I'm sure they're talking to each other. Hope so. And so once, about mid-February, they'll come out with their budgets, then they'll start the conference committee process where they combine all three budgets to make one big budget.
And that is when we would potentially see if there's any change to the proposed budget by Governor Youngkin for
We'll see
NCI.
the House and Senate versions. I'd say, I can't remember when crossover is since it's a longer session, but probably like mid-February-ish that will come out. And then of course, then they get into the real nitty-gritty of trying to agree.
So Joe, I guess my question is wishful thinking. Are we hoping that the new administration will waive that fee out of Attorney General's office? Secondly, she can look at it biennial this time in 27, right?
Yes.
That she can add to it if,
Yeah, her first budget will
that's two
come out.
questions. Is that what we hope?
That's always the hope, sir. Anytime somebody will waive something we owe them, and that's always a good thing for us. Yes, sir. And anytime somebody will give us some more money, that's always a good thing. Not to make light of it, but yes, sir. Certainly optimistic. It's every year, just so everyone knows, every year since I've been here, we've submitted generally the same request for additional funding for positions to build programs such as recruiter. We've asked for funding for the front lobby project that we've discussed. A couple things like that. So our ask is really no different than it has been in the past. And what we're told is continue asking. You don't not ask the first year you've got a new administration. You may not get anything, but create kind of that history of a consistent ask so that they say, hey, this is a standardized need that has existed for year after year. They're not just randomly asking for different things. And we believe these are legitimate needs to the point to where, since we haven't received the funding, as Christina mentioned, we're trying to figure out how do we make the project like the lobby happen, because it's safety and security. So we've got to make it a priority. So, but the intention there is to always ask for additional funding. Yes, sir.
If it gets to on the politics side, if it gets to that point, what would we be comfortable paying? Because if they go to McGuire Woods and their influence, they're probably gonna ask for 120 instead of 90.
I think a lot of that'll probably be discussed in closed session on Thursday. And being very blunt with you, sir, I don't know that it's my decision. I believe it falls to the board. So, I mean, if the board charges me with making the decision, certainly I'll live up to the order I'm given. But I didn't want to be presumptuous in thinking that I had the authority to make this.
No, just sure.
I will mention on the strategic messaging, Joanne had mentioned, Christina had a comment there about as far as all of our expenditures and utilization of the full budget by June 30th. So there are certain things that you can prepay, certain expenditures, certain leases, certain memberships and things of that nature. So we are always strategic about the last quarter, review every category of the budget. Let's find where do we drop a penny between the couch cushions kind of thing. And let's identify what are our priorities for prepaying for the next year.
May not have, remember Governor Youngkin took that option away last year. So I'm not sure what will happen this year, if that is still an option or not.
Okay.
Just heads up.
Okay. My assumption was that was standardized as part of the government, and maybe the administration made a change to their time.
Yes.
So it may go back to such, but just during my time here, we have always looked at the last quarter and identified areas where we can pay forward just to give us a little bit of safety and security on our financials.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Have there been any state audits, any agencies in looking at internal controls?
No, sir. We had
What cycle are we on?
So we're at the kind of the end of the, correct me if I'm wrong here, but according to my chart that the team makes for me, that I ask about every Tuesday, we are completed for the time being. The last submission was HE 16, which is due on January 16th. However, our team has already submitted it. And it is basically identifying any balance offsets for the agency. Did I get it?
Off sheets out.
Off sheet.
Off balance sheet.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Off balance sheet.
It's the off balance sheet, reporting and any adjustments that are needed. So things that don't quite qualify as like Sabitas or their, liabilities that, you know, you may be in the works with someone, you've agreed, we're gonna contribute whatever, but there isn't formal paperwork. There's
Right.
ways to, you know, make that known, that liability known for that fiscal year. So going into the next fiscal year, it's already documented. And that's basically what that statement does, is just sum that up.
And it's due on January 16th
Do
and
we have any such items?
Balance sheet with,
No, the only thing that could potentially be involved in that could maybe, depending on how it's looked at, the invoice, but there's the question of how much is owed, who owes, you know, so forth. So
Sure.
without having the fine details, we can't really include that in there because I don't know how that's ultimately gonna play out.
And then it
So
all depends on what the Department of Accounts views as a nominal amount, you know,
Yeah.
for the whole statewide, NCI is not a nominal amount.
Right, right.
So,
I would say that, we all kind of start getting that little twitchy feeling. We're kind of on that 2 to 3 year rotation for APA to say, hey,
mhm.
we want to come look at some things. So, haven't heard anything, but we all look at the calendar and realize, hey, haven't seen them in a couple of years. So, I would not be surprised if something shows up in the next fiscal year.
Yeah, we did an internal review last year
Mhm.
around this time.
Right.
So more than likely, they might send out a questionnaire for us to complete and send back in. But right now, we have not gotten anything. It we probably, well, let me say probably, we may not. It all depends on what they view as necessary. So right now, we have not received any notification or anything to answer.
So I can't remember which meeting, somewhere in the past, we talked about some of the internal control findings
Yes, sir.
that
Mhm.
from whenever they last came.
Yes, sir.
Are there any open items from?
No, sir. All of those were addressed and the loop was closed with this year's submission of RMAX. So the majority of the findings were in regards to the, information technology policies. And so all of those have been incorporated into our policies and procedures. All of those have been worked into our infrastructure and documentation and proof of all that was submitted. It was run through our policy procedures committee. It wasn't just a matter of putting it on our letterhead. We had to put it through the committees. We had to adapt it into our language and such. And all of that went into effect last quarter.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And do they do any follow-up of those items, or is it,
If they
it's been
are.
reported, we've addressed it?
It
We're
depends on the severity of it.
Yeah.
It may require, it's called my brain is not, I can't think of what it's called, but it's
it's the improvement plan.
kind of like an improvement plan, like you have to report to them every 3-6 months of what the issue was and where you are at on it. I believe we had to do it for OSIG.
When I first arrived, NCI was on a performance improvement plan from the office, Inspector General,
Mhm.
Office of State Inspector General. And they were on a performance improvement plan where we were tasked with, at the time, reports had been turned in and the data that was referenced did not point to a single source of data. So for instance, if we reported that we were at an event with 150 middle school students, what proof do you have? Well, the school said there was 150 middle school students there. You know, I'm being a bit facetious.
Yeah.
You know, there were some where it was an email exchange and a teacher would reply back and say there were 150 students. There were some where it was just in a meeting, hey, we had 150 students there. 150, got you. So to correct that, we brought on a data person. We developed an infrastructure for data reporting using a lot of our internal resources with our Microsoft Office suite. And now we have a mechanism where all that data funnels into a repository on our network so that we have access to it. And that's actually what we use now to provide the updates to the board and such as that. So that was addressed sufficiently. The other one was we were tasked with engaging more with the community and identifying workforce needs for programs. Just being very frank with you, they told us that they couldn't have a finding with one item, they needed two. So we took it to heart and we have engaged, or we did, this is 2 years ago, we're still part of it, engaged with various workforce groups around the area, various, you know, joining the chamber, joining the Southern Piedmont Technology Council, things of that nature. And we had a follow-up a year after that. It was a nice way to celebrate my 1 year arrival, I'll say that. And met with the OSIG team again, and they reviewed everything that we submitted, all the changes we made, and they closed out the report.
So Department of Accounts or the APA will do the same thing, the same kind of process. It'll be a spreadsheet. You have to fill out what the issue was and then report on your actions and when it's completed. But we have not had to do that for APA in quite some time. I don't know if we've ever had to do that for APA. Just the OSIG is the only thing that I can ever remember. So that helps.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, sort of? Okay.
Just wanted to see where we are. Yeah, no, that's good. Are there any areas of internal control that you guys have concerns about that haven't been addressed?
No concerns. We, Joanne and I, during RMX, you know, we have to identify what we're testing, which areas, and with the development, we kind of do RMX hand in hand. And so with the development of the policies and procedures, we kind of said, okay, next thing we're going to work on, we're going to want to, you know, maybe add more for this area. And now that we have and can see maybe what IT is doing, maybe we can develop a test next year so we can test the efficiency or the accuracy of them completing that procedure. So that is an internal control that we can develop. There's no concerns, but we do have ideas of things to further broaden our testing.
Yes, I don't think, for me at least, it's not a concern over internal controls. It's a concern over the efficiency in which we can perform those tests when the time comes. What I tasked Christine and the team with was this should take us less time to respond to this each year. And it's a little difficult because sometimes you don't quite know what areas and questions they'll ask, but there are some areas we identified, just things such as file structures, data storage, and, you know, testing throughout the year as opposed to waiting until, so that we can be ready when it comes. And we don't have to say, okay, all hands on deck, let's get this sent in. Instead, it's just a matter of, hey, we've got the pieces in place, a couple of clicks from a couple of people, we're ready to go.
Any questions?
Sir. Well, just a follow-up to Lee's question. Do you anticipate from 4 years ago when Governor Youngkin came in, his administration came in, did they inundate you with reports and findings and anything else? You hope that didn't happen?
They made a lot of changes with we had to started out monthly, the QMRs.
I
used to be
arrived about a
monthly.
year into his administration, so I can't really give you before and after. I'll
Oh,
refer-
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yes, there were a lot of changes made. It started off that we had to do monthly management reports to our department secretary, which we did not have to do before. And then they switched it from monthly to quarterly. And then they have, over the past few years, not saying just the administration, it could just be development of, new techniques. But we have had a very large increase of reports that are required, not just reports, construction or development of plans. And then they have to be submitted annually.
Or changes in processes, like BOA and things like that.
Oh, yes, and implementation of new processes at the state level in systems, like online systems. We just love those. But yes, so we just had a new one implemented and it's taking us, I've probably emailed back and forth with them, probably at least 20 times, more than 20 times to try to fix it because we still couldn't use it. And it's taken those and they make small changes at a time. Small changes, like still can't do it. No, it's not working. You don't have, uploaded everything, all of the data that we need to pull down correctly. So that's been a challenge, but we just are so excited to use it.
What kind
Almost all the
of, what kind
departments or
of system application?
And it's for
It's
the,
reconciliation of credit card statements.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So now they want it in a system and they want, I'm not sure. They want all the documentation uploaded into a system now.
Yeah, it used to just be a paper process and it was retained just like any other voucher, you would have your physical paper receipt, your purchase
Mhm.
request, all the documentation that's needed with that statement. So that one voucher would be about this thick in the cabinet. But it was a little bit
Yeah.
easier to go through and reconcile like down the list and physically see the papers and flip through. Now it's a process of you have to scan those documents, upload those documents to each individual transaction. And then when you reconcile for the other card holder, you have to go in and click that image, look at that image, reconcile that line, close that window, look at the accounting numbers. Okay, that matches. Open the next image. So it's
What
It's a
used to
different
take
process.
us by hand, we could see the paper,
We used
30 minutes, now
to
is.
call that paving a cow path. If you get my drift.
Yeah, it's been great,
Cow didn't ask for it.
but we are happy to do whatever we need to do to be in compliance.
There you go, there you go.
A lot of cow paths get paved, don't they, Lee?
People will do that.
I've never heard that one. That's.
We hope you won't.
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm not sure, we haven't heard anything, it'll take this new administration a little while. I'm not sure how long can't remember how long it took the Youngkin administration to implement some of their changes, but some things could be quickly, we're no longer doing, or there could be new. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's every 4 years this happens, so. Always exciting.
It's the equivalent of getting a new manager or a new direct report, right? And just have to figure out how they like to do their work and see benefit in doing a lot of these things, and different people manage differently. So that's,
under new management.
Mhm.
It's a nice way to say it, right?
I mean, I think it's accurate. I've experienced being the person, and so has Jay, and probably the others around the table, being the person asking for the change. And I had somebody tell me the other day, "Why are you messing with my process?"
Oh,
It's
Because
just the cows don't talk.
Right. So, see both sides of it too, and y'all probably do as well. with the
Yeah.
Oh,
rest reports that
absolutely,
report to you, so.
we always say improvement is good. Anytime we can improve improve a process, efficiencies, everything like that, it just seems to be inundating sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like there for a period of time, like every time we would get through one change, oh, okay, well, we've got a month or two of that under the belt and adjusted.
It would change
Surprise,
again.
this is gonna change. Now we have a new system to do that in.
Yes.
I think if I put all of my passwords and system names into a spreadsheet, it would probably be at least 3-4 pages long.
How long mine is, yeah. So,
Such is the life of government employees.
Anybody else? It's kind of covered everything I hope to go through. Really appreciate you putting the package together. The pictures are worth a lot. Always appreciate those, and the narrative's very helpful.
Highlights are my favorite.
Yeah, yeah.
High level.
Uh,
Are there any anticipated big bumps in the road that, if you anticipated them, you'd put them in here, right? But
Right.
thinking amongst yourselves, is there anything you think, oh gosh, we're hoping, we're planning this doesn't happen, but this could happen, or this is something that has changed since we've talked about or done all this, anything like that from a budgetary perspective?
Nothing that would affect general fund, potentially maintenance reserve. Given some things that, HR and Joe and myself have observed recently. We're having some of our committees take deeper dives into our systems, so like our security systems. And our access systems to the doors. So what we had not planned on, I don't believe it was a maintenance project that we had budgeted for the, access cards. Maybe moving ahead sooner rather than later on those. So that could be an adjustment, that was not budgeted for, that we could be saying, hey, we want to move forward on this, and that would come from maintenance reserve, but not from general fund.
And as far as anything programmatic, we tried to forecast ahead. So part of what we've done, as I've shared with the board in the past, is understanding the difference in opinions between state and federal at the moment with the wind industry. We recognize that we had all the eggs in one basket, so to speak, with the wind industry thing, specifically with the Dominion offshore one. So what we've done over the past year is intentionally started to build a parallel operation for industrial safety, regulatory trainings. We've already started to see some of that come into effect. We've got some training scheduled coming up already, and then we've already got some contracted experts who have reached out to us and said, hey, heard you all were moving into this area. I think I can help. So we look in the next 6 months to really increase that, to stand up our Industrial Safety Academy, with the idea that if right now it's still somewhat in limbo back and forth between the courts. So it could move quickly. It could drag on for years, obviously, but my concern the entire time was that the personnel that are supporting the WIN program would quickly find themselves in a difficult situation. So what we did is we analyzed their career history, their resumes, the credentials they already held. And then we identified that there's a significant overlap between what they already do with the safety aspect of GWO and industrial safety. One comes from manufacturing, one from construction. So it gave me the opportunity really to kind of put both of them through a couple of different train the trainers, get them up to date on some credentials, and then identify the gaps. We've got an expert coming in February that will kind of fill some of those gaps on our side of things. So we'll have in-house certifications, but then those very unique ones where it just doesn't make sense financially for us to invest in the person. It may only be once a year type thing. We have this individual on standby. So we've planned and prepped for that. The unfortunate and potential demise of the wind industry in that area. But if it happens, we don't look to lose any personnel. Interestingly enough, we've got Dominion training in the high bay this week for wind industry. So even despite all the things going on, the wind training is continuing, but we realize that there's still some bandwidth there and we're looking to fill that bandwidth. So I do not look to be surprised by any major events that affect programming. I'm trying to stay ahead of that in a way that I don't have to have a break glass in case of emergency, but instead I have hey, we built this in anticipation of an if, and now it's sustainable to the point where it's become the main program and your GWO almost becomes your little supplemental program as needed. So kind of slowly with GWO in the lead, bringing the industrial safety up, and then industrial safety slowly taking the lead, but GWO never entirely going away as long as there's enough for it to operate in a profitable manner. So that's what we've been working on, and I could bore you all day long with a list of certifications and regulatory trainings and things. I'm happy to if you want to give me all the time, but I'll stop it there for you. So, but I don't anticipate anything large scale impacting programmatic offerings.
Good.
Makes a lot of sense to kill a renewable program like wind, since we don't think we're gonna have wind anymore.
Yeah.
Don't need to build a fuel cell to hold the wind. I missed the beginning of the meeting. The Trump people are gonna come take me away to a word camp. That's fine. I'm not gonna go with them though. I missed the beginning of the meeting. Is there a view, seriously, for a minute, is there a view that we're looking to think about our access control system in a different way for safety and security?
Yes, sir. This building, in my opinion, has never really lent itself to a very strong access control mechanism. We we're going to increase some offerings with K-12 pretty significantly. They're actually starting in about 2 weeks. So, we're going to have more students in the building, more K-12 students in the building. Additionally, some of our partners, I'll point to Gen Edge because they're kind of the big one with the federal requirements. They have certain physical facility requirements in terms of security and access, and we're meeting those. But we want to make sure that we're not just meeting the minimum, that we're exceeding that, because we want to be able to market that to additional partners, some of their partners as well. And then, quite frankly, we've had a couple of times over the past 6 months where you're working on an email and you look up, it's like, oh, who's that in my front door? Or who's that in my office door? Our safety and security team, they make rounds once an hour. They walk every floor. If they happen to be going up the stairs on this stairwell and someone's coming down the stairs on that other one, they pass by and they wind up in our office without ever going through the checkpoint. So it's been something that's been weighing on us for a while. We've asked for the funding and the approval to do it in the past. It hasn't made it to that point yet. So there's nothing really that is a singular factor that is driving it other than just this experience, somewhat anecdotally, but also just knowing that we need to plan for the future and have a more secure, controlled building. When I go to the other higher ed centers, you do not get past the front door without saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm here to see so-and-so. It's just a different environment. And I believe that that's where, for us to operate at that same level, I believe we need to have those capabilities.
And does the state ask in the instance of you having an access control question that they already have a set of preferred vendors that you need to talk to for the purposes of an audit to ascertain whether you need to have a different sort of access control system? I'm talking about not just people, I'm talking about electronic access control.
They have state contracts for those that sell the systems.
Yeah. Right.
Audit as far as they don't have someone, if you're saying like Department of General Services who, manages real estate, they don't have anyone that comes in and says, okay, well, this needs to be improved. But what we did was we engaged with the Criminal Justice Academy, and then as well as we've had is it fire department and the city planner come through?
Yes, I've had multiple officials from the city come through, do walkthroughs, identify areas that we need to address, such as fire escape routes, things of that nature, pain points for evacuations, and it's all been proactive. Looking at things such as how many can our lecture hall actually hold? Is this still an appropriate number? So it's not that there's any finding or anything that we're anticipating or anything that has caused that. It's just kind of a general sense of recognizing what's in place at other facilities, but not here. They mentioned the state contracts. There are, again, I'll make sure I'm relaying it correctly. There's opportunities if Longwood or VSU already has a contract with the state approved vendor, there's an opportunity for us to kind of piggyback onto that contract to make things somewhat cleaner, easier, quicker, theoretically, but it's not always the most cost effective either. So that's what the team always kind of has to weigh out when we go to do that.
And this isn't something new. This is something that I raised when we were constructing the building, and was told that's too expensive. Basically the key card kind of access where you can have controls with immediate response to deactivate, and then it limits those who access certain areas. So this has been a constant discussion since the building was constructed. And I know that our new facilities manager, the prior one that worked for the foundation, have had multiple discussions with like the city fire so that, hey, these access doors here, that's why we have signs right now, staff only, because they're like, you can't lock them. You can't do this. They have to be exit only, or have to have a key to enter. So There's been tons of discussions throughout the years. We're just getting down now to, it's time to start taking some action.
Well, I'll, at the risk of becoming, for those of you who remember Cliff Clavin, man with useless information. So one of our operating companies, the Lester Group, is in a business that specializes in selling to the door and hardware industry. So when Frith built this building, they bought the architectural doors and all the openers from a door and hardware distributor. It's a
Mhm.
specific vertical in the construction industry.
Mhm.
That's what we do, is we sell doors to those people. Some of them are outfitted for electronic control, access control. Most these days are. The biggest player in the industry that we sell to is based in Winston-Salem, Cook and Boardman, fine company. I would be happy, aside from the issues of physical stuff, right? The access control piece is an evolving concept, particularly as it relates to software and whether you're going to use, your eyes to get in a building or not, that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of common sense stuff out there, and I actually know something about this. It's scary. But I would certainly be happy to have someone from Cook and Boardman come as just a quiet, hey, this is what we see. This is technology that's available. Forget the government's opinion of it. Just, what's out there and what's available. Because it is when you start talking like K through 12 up to, old people like me, you have people with different issues, and I think it's a reasonable thing to be thinking about all the time.
Yes.
Whether you're a private or whether you're public, it doesn't make any difference.
Yes.
And there's lots of cool stuff out there between cameras and integratable camera systems to fingers or eyes or whatever, and they're not really, key cards or whatever are a thing of the past, frankly. They really are. And they're like your dad's Oldsmobile kind of story anymore, really.
All right. No,
I mean, that's all easy, and
Yes.
I'm happy to help on, if you would like that assistance, it would not cost anything, wouldn't be in your budget, wouldn't be in the maintenance cost, nothing.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, be
Any-
free.
Yeah, any resource we
free.
can get.
Yeah. Okay.
Be great, thank you.
No problem.
I think we used to all built. Still would be.
But these are absolutely the nicest doors and door closers in the Commonwealth in this building. There's no doubt about it. No one spared any expense outfitting this building. I'll tell you that. They're freaking nice. These door closers.
I think I've had to replace one of the doors on the lecture hall. You're correct. They are high-end doors.
Super nice.
They are high-end doors, yes, sir.
Interesting.
Well, if there's no other
Yeah,
matters.
sorry about that ramble. I apologize.
No. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So motion.
Some second. Favor?
Yes.
Aye. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks for your